They used to have sword fights, dude.
Hmm.
Can you imagine, like, ateliers of painters painting during the day and going and having like sword fights in the night? I was like, yes, that's the kind of intensity you need in the art world. I'm kidding, but that's just so cool, dude. Everything was like so much more intense. I think people were putting in so much more time. In the present day, when people just think that they're already doing very great because they've got like this great following, and it's or maybe you're just posting very sexy pictures of yourself right next to the art, and that's why you've gotten a lot of following, and it's probably not about the art, and people just want to see like cute pictures of you.
And you do live paintings, right? So when you're doing live paintings, I think there is a lot of pressure. Like even a tiniest mistake can spoil the painting. And whereas our case, when we are doing work digitally, we have that undo option, right? So how do you compose yourself? How you maintain your composure at that time? Do you feel the pressure?
No, I think it's quite the opposite experience. Because when we go to live painting at events, we go usually from like 10 p.m. and we're there till like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. So like we're painting all night. And it's kind of cool because you get to party. You get to party. Then you get to do your favorite thing in the world at this party. And people let you in for free, and they give you food and drinks, and then people come and buy your art as well, and people just talk to you about the thing that you like the most in the world, which is art. So
I think that's the best time for you then.
It's a cool experience. I mean, it's definitely draining. It's exhausting because talking to so many people also can get a bit tiring, and then you also get questions that can be a bit exhausting, like, what are you painting? And for me, it's always very hard when some people just come and be like, what is the meaning of this? And I'm like, I just cannot do it. There is no meaning. It's more of a urge, and it's like, and now I'm learning. I just go, hey, you tell me. What is it to you? Like, you do the work. I'm not doing this. I'm doing enough work. And about making mistakes during live painting, I don't think I could do something during live painting that would be so horrible that I would consider it a big mistake. Because even in general, it's like I'm always making mistakes while I'm painting, or it's just a part of the process. Like, you paint something, it doesn't look good, you go and paint over it. It's not a big deal. I think when I was at the beginning of my journey, in the beginning when I used to be live paint, I used to think that way, and I used to be like, oh my god, I messed this painting up, and then I would go home and then I would be so sad every time I looked at the painting, and I would just be anxious. But now it's like, and in fact, I get a lot of work done sometimes I get a lot of work done during live painting. There are some paintings that I have only live painted, and then in the studio I spent like 1 week on it and then just brought it to the finish line, because the energy of the people around and just the whole vibe keeps you awake. You don't even need anything. At home, it's like, I paint freaking Netflix on the side, then another podcast, then I'll go eat a snack, and every 45 minutes I'll get up and I'll do something. But at the party, it's like, can go keep painting for 2 hours.
The energy keeps you moving, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You should attend more of parties, then you'll get more of your art covered.
Yeah.
They say that when you are doing such kind of in-depth work, you need your peace of mind, right? So how does it affect, like at your home, as you said? Now it is like peaceful place, right? But you feel like you're not much productive as compared to when you are at a party. So how important it is, that ambience is important for you, or what do you feel?
Definitely, having a controlled environment, having a clean space, and having a space that you can have a routine with is important to me. And even like the environment at home is important to me. The mental state that I'm in is very important. But some days you don't feel like it and you still have to keep working because it's your job, and people usually go to office when they're having a bad day, so you also just have to go to office, and you
have to just
if
think
you have
in
a
that.
bad day,
Yeah, you have to
like
think
you
in
can't really
that.
do much about it. So yeah, there is the factor of inner peace, and I'm working on being peaceful on the inside. But so far what's got me here and what's kept me moving is just leaving bad habits. Like just stop smoking the ganja and stop drinking and going out unnecessarily and just showing up every day to the workspace. Just doing that much itself has gotten me this far. So like if there is inner peace, it's just gonna be like yeah, just
They say it is, to reach your goal, it is simple, but it is not easy, right? Simple task, right? Showing up at work, but
yeah.
when you do consistently, you just find it difficult to show up at work.
That's why it's important to like your job and the office space you're in.
So an artist is said to have, curiosity in his eyes because he needs to find beauty. He needs to identify beauty in odd places, right? Like for example, a layman cannot. So how do y'all do things differently? Y'all find beauty in really odd places?
That's an interesting question because I think that I feel like people in general do have this thing in them where they see beauty in odd places. I think everybody does. I think with artists, it's probably that they feel the urge to express this beauty that they've seen in an odd places, and there's as they also I think it's artists are very curious. Like I think most artists as children were very, very curious. I definitely was. I always had all these weird questions in my head. Even if someone's not your typical artist, everybody in a way has an eye for something that they're very, very passionate about. Like for example, someone that's a postcard collector, right? Like me being an artist, I'm not going to see the beauty in a post stamps, or those
Yeah.
stamps. Like some people are really into that,
Yeah.
and me as an artist and lots of other artists are probably not into collecting
you'll be
coins.
like,
We're not
why
going
are
to
you
find the
doing?
beauty in that coin, right? But then this person that's interested in these coins will be like tell you everything about every coin that's ever existed, and they're just going to be so intelligent, and they're going to have so many other so they're going to study so much more about history and where this coin came from, so they're going to know so much more. So also with like engineers and like some people are really into math and they do absolutely brilliant things. So I think everybody to a certain extent does see beauty in odd places. It only comes down to them putting in the work and going and following that direction and following what they're really interested in and doing their best to get really good at it, so that the world can be a better place.
I think specifically what they like or they prefer to see.
Yeah, everyone has an eye for something. I definitely do not have the eye for math, but some people do. They're awesome.
Were you kind of that curious child who used to ask weird questions, or curiosity developed when you grew up?
I was curious as a child. I had this big ass phase where I would not enter any temple because I would not believe in God, and I was like, science is everything, and then where is God, and show me proof of God. So that was one phase. Then another phase was not phase, but I would definitely spend more time looking at things and looking at the colors in the water or things like that. I would definitely be drawing much more. So I think I was curious as a child. I think most of us are curious as children. It's about, are you still curious as an adult? That should be the question.
So are you curious as
As an adult,
Yes.
Yes, I am curious about some things and I am absolutely not interested and find other things very exhausting. So depends.
In your bio, you have mentioned like visionary painter. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Because there is a lot of thing to process. Visionary painter in
Of inner
inner
realms.
realm. So what does it mean? Like,
So because I'm so into spatial, just I'm into the idea of a three-dimensional space, a space that you can walk into, and I really, really have this belief that all of us have like our inner landscape and inner worlds, and I am trying to paint the worlds that I see within me or the worlds that come out of my subconscious. At least right now, that is the artistic direction that I'm headed in, and that I resonate with the most. So that's what that's about.
we have, in this podcast, we have decided that we have one section where we don't ask any cliche question, but we still ask you. So, who is your favorite artist?
I have multiple. One of my most favorite ones is Beksinski. He's a Polish painter. People find his art dark, but I do not. And yeah, you should check him out. He's absolutely incredible. And he also was an architect. So he's an architect turned painter, and he also has a lot of architectural influences in his paintings. And they're like these dystopian, dark, nightmarish worlds, but they're so beautifully painted that they're so beautiful that you don't, at least for me, it's like it's not even dark anymore. It's just so beautiful.
You cannot take your eyes off.
Yeah. Then there is Martina Hoffman. Then there's Jonathan Salter. Yeah, I can think of these three as my top three right now. But there are many, many, many more.
And as you told, like regarding architecture drawings, do you feel like the older artists who used to do in the medieval times the art, do you feel they just scribbled out something and people consider is that art, or not to demean, but is the artist now you feel they are doing better art, or was it like the artists who were in the medieval times?
I think the artists, like the Renaissance painters in the medieval times, definitely way much better. I think the frequency of the art world is really going down as time passes, and especially since we have social media and we have artists feel so much pressure to do a lot of other things other than just create art and put time into studying and making their craftsmanship better. It goes on declining the quality of art. And back then it was like, dude, these guys had ateliers, and I think it was like you couldn't, I don't have a lot of information, but I can just tell you all that I know. So they used to have ateliers, and they used to probably have like 10 to 15 painters in one atelier painting and studying there from day to night. And there was a lot of studying, a lot of painting from life, taking references, doing multiple studies to make one painting, and also taking a lot of time to make one painting, right? So, and because they had like that atelier system, you always had people to critique you, and you always had other artists giving you advice, and you also had a lot of competition, and it was quite fierce, dude. Oh my god. Like there is this artist, this brilliant Renaissance painter called Caravaggio, and I was listening to a podcast that spoke about him. They used to have sword fights, dude. Can you imagine, like, ateliers of painters painting during the day and going and having like sword fights in the night? I was like, yes. That's the kind of intensity you need in the art world. I'm kidding, but that's just so cool, dude. Everything was like so much more intense. I think people were putting in so much more time. They had resources which people now do too, which is also another thing. It's like art should be getting better, if anything, because you have so many resources. You literally just need a phone, and
Problem is distractions, right?
yeah. So that comes down to discipline. It's not like I'm the most disciplined person in the world,
Yeah.
but I can't stress how important discipline is for an artist, and especially people that really, really want to make it in the world now. And there's so many shortcuts as well now in the time that we live in as artists, because you could just paint. I mean, you could just post crap art for.
People
In my
will be there
opinion,
to admire.
what's crap art in my opinion? I'm not judging anyone, or just I'm sure like everybody sees beauty somewhere. But
Yeah,
in
she's
my
not
opinion,
saying that your art is crap.
yeah. But I'm saying that now, you see, back then, you couldn't just have your ego scratched by society unless you were really, really good, right? But now you can have your ego scratched in a million different ways.
Yeah, even if you're starting out.
Even if you're starting out, you can post like 20 times a day, and then the Instagram algorithm or whatever social media algorithm, it will take you up, and then you will have more followers because you're in everybody's face like 10 times a day, and you will get more engagement, and you just in your head you think that you're this great person and
you're
you've
the
made
greatest
it,
artist
and
all over the.
so that makes it even harder for people to self-reflect and see where they're standing and understand what they want. Again, not that I have everything figured out, but
Still figuring
just
out the
still
shit.
figuring out. But
Yeah.
these are like observations I've made, and these are things that I try to be aware of. During college, I went to an art gallery in Bangalore, and so I had like this artist burning in me, right? And it just wanted to see something that would inspire or like be this crazy catalyst to take the next step. I went to an art gallery. Now in this art gallery, I don't know what's going on, but there are like empty canvases there was this one empty canvas with one red line. It was huge, but there's only one red line. And all the other paintings were also kind of like that, and I just couldn't understand what was going on, because I really thought I wanted to be an artist, but then I go to an art gallery and that is selling for like 20,000 or something. It didn't make sense to me. I was so confused. So the fire kind of for that time just died off, and I just went back to college, and I was like, I think I can do better, but I don't know what's going on, and how do I sell if this is what's selling? It doesn't make sense. So then later on, after a few years, during my internship, I came across artists, psychedelic artists. They were very famous visionary artists. And I saw what they'd done with their lives. It's like they were into psychedelics. They were pretty depressed, but they started making a lot of art that meant a lot to them. And they made really, really good art. Like, it was high level craftsmanship, just beautiful. I was like, oh my god, this is what the world is
fire
about.
again lit up.
Yeah, and then I shit you not, like I saw that, and then the next day I wrote an email to this academy, and I was like, can I join, and like, how do I make this? So art should be, your work should be such a way that it inspires somebody else to change their life. Like, that's what these artists did for me, and that's what their work did for me. Imagine, like, you just see somebody's art and then it's so good that you want to find a way to make the same, and so you up and leave the country and go to another country and start a whole new life and just reinvent yourself. And there's just like,
That's
the
quite
power.
an inspiration, right, for you?
Yeah, that's it.
Like,
I realized that's the power of art. Like, so when in the present day, when people just think that they're already doing very great because they've got like this great following, and it's you know, or maybe you're just posting very sexy pictures of yourself right next to the art, and that's why you've gotten a lot of following, and it's probably not about the art, and people just want to see like cute pictures of you. So many situations of that sort. So now imagine like a young person comes and then they get on Instagram and they're looking for artists, and this is what they see, and they have this burning desire and they want to be artists, and they're like, this is what's happening in the world, like this is art. Oh, I don't know if I want to do this, like this doesn't make me feel anything. So which is why it's so important.
Have you considered doing digital art, or that is a complete different story?
I'm not really interested in digital art. Or
Why? Because seeing the type of craft which is going on.
even in the digital art space, there are brilliant craftsmen, right? Like people that are making movies and video games. Brilliant. But usually I'm not seeing extremely brilliant stuff. And also, I really like the medium of painting. Like even when I was a child, I imagined myself as a painter, and I had like these big dreams of having paintings in an art gallery and stuff like that. So I just don't feel the desire, but I am very amazed by it, and we wouldn't have so much if digital art did not exist. It wouldn't have like the greatest movies and animes. So yeah, it has its place. I love it.
Yeah, you have
But I
a
would not-
special place.
Yeah,
right?
but I would not.
You have your happy space already.
Yeah, I probably would not dip feet. At least that's where I stand now. I don't know in the future.
And we'll talk about the art. What I'll do, I'll show you few of the pictures, and you have to decipher like what was going on when you drew it, or what was the thought process. Your few of your arts.
So the first one you have on here is Lucid Stellar Dream. That one. So what would you like to know?
Yeah, what was your thought process when you were doing that, basically?
So this is the first collaboration between me and my husband, who's a very, very talented artist as well. And we kind of wanted to make something that was a mix of things that both of us liked and that both of us could express well. So before this, we tried to make paintings, but that were more in his direction. So because I like architecture and I like architectural paintings, we went like, okay, let's make it architectural, and then we keep refining it and we keep working on it. So the idea for this painting kept changing over time, but in the end it became like this lucid stellar dream city that goes far off into infinity, and it's what you want to make of it. Like sometimes it reminds people of this emerald city from a particular movie, and sometimes it reminds people of like an underwater organic magical city. But the vibe that we were going, like I think very often I'm going for a certain kind of mood and I'm going for a certain kind of vibe with a painting. Like that I can sense, and when the painting's not there, I can sense that it's not there.
Not in that direction. What you're.
Yeah. Like so yeah, this is the vibe that we were going for. We were going for something architecturally. We were going for something very dreamy, something infinite, something with lots of depth, something that you could look at and just sink into, and your eyes would just play around in this world for as long as they want. Something calming.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the second one, like,
second one is floating structures of cellular.
This I personally like because it is like a 3D art, immersive experience.
This one is, I'm really into fantasy worlds. I think that's pretty obvious by now. So I wanted to make something dystopian, something post-apocalyptic. Like in this painting, it's like you're looking through this cave and then you're looking at the last two structures in this post-apocalyptic world, and everything else is ruined. That's the story that I had. People have their own interpretations, and I always like listening to you.
Quite deep thought.
I don't know, dude. I'm I'm not.
I just do the art, the rest I leave it to the viewers,
not-
right?
I'm not sure if there's like a lot of deep thought into this. Like again, it's just it's quite childish actually if you think about it, right? It's just a childish desire. You have this imaginary world and you want this world to come real, and then you have to come in and be an adult and find adult ways to make this childish vision and urge come true. That's
I find it deep. She finds it childish, but yeah. The third one.
Is interdimensional fruitcake. Dude, I honestly have nothing to say here when so many people ask me. Because
What were you thinking when you were, or you just went with the flow?
so this one, it was a drawing first, and then I really liked the drawing, and as soon as I saw the drawing, I had this vision of how I wanted it to look. So I painted it. I don't think it's got any deep meaning to it. It's something that you feel, I guess. It's the kind of vibe you get, the kind of energy you get from it, the sensation that it causes within you. I think that's what's important, and that's what I'm going for here. I don't really have any rational sentences regarding this painting.
The fourth one. How you keep the names? Like how you come up with the names of the?
They're really cool, no?
Yeah.
I like them. I sometimes I get help. Sometimes I just ask lots of people what they would name a painting, and then if I like it, I name it. And interdimensional fruitcake was named interdimensional fruitcake because it reminded me, it was definitely interdimensional, and it reminded me of cake. I was like, this is so yummy. It's like, it feels like something I want to eat. So it's called interdimensional fruitcake.
Because I have trouble thinking of titles for my video. And
Really? You should ask me, dude. I think
definitely.
I'm interesting in the department of naming paintings. So this is Feather Space. This is a very, very, very old painting. Wow. I'm such a child in this painting. So I remember once me and my friend were tripping many, many years ago on the beach in Gokarna, and we were both pretty out of it. And he goes, like, out of it as in we're really in it, but we're still out of it. I don't know how to explain this. But anyway, we were like very deep and philosophical and that kind of vibe. So he goes like, if you could be anything right now, what would you want to be? And then I was like, feather.
Light like a feather,
Yeah, like, I love it when there's like all this traffic and just freaking chaos, and then you just see this feather floating about, no shits to anybody's business. So yeah, I wanted to be like a feather. And
so the next day you went and you just drew it?
Not next day. That thought stuck with me for a long time, and it's still my personal account has like feather in it. So yeah, I made a painting about it. This is one of the few paintings that are like symbolic in nature. And any other art on the spot?
Yeah, it was. Consider which one, Another immersive experience by Rituja.
Ancient Warrior 0.1. So sometimes when I make drawings and I like the drawing, and then I move it to the canvas, transfer it to the canvas, and I paint it. And while I'm painting it, I just fantasy stories come up to me. So This is like one such painting where I have this story of a warrior Lena that was walking in the woods, and she was drawn to a cerulean gem in a tree trunk. She reached out. Oh my god! It's about this warrior. It's about this warrior that's stuck in hyperspace with structures from her ancient time, that got sucked in to this new space with her, and she does a timeless dance of the warriors
So
for
you've written it
eternity.
down so that in the description I'm saying you have
Yeah.
mentioned all these stories in the description of the painting.
I mean, if
That's
if the
beautiful,
if the painting has a story or something like this comes up, then I do mention it.
So for some you have mentioned, right?
Yeah, because not all paintings have a story. Like interdimensional fruitcake, I think I should just write, please don't ask me. I have absolutely nothing that makes sense to say about this. But these have like nice fantasy stories.
Really some, if I say deep meaning, then she will be like, no, doesn't have deep meaning.
It also like I don't mind when people have their own interpretations. I in fact really
You'll be
like
glad,
it
right?
because that's one way that you also jump into your own head when you're interpreting, like you're reflecting some part of you. So if it is something deep to you, then that's freaking great. There's something deep within you that you want to express and show out to the world.
Yes, beautiful. Yes, so we get to the, I think, final part. This is, I think this I have not shared to you.
So this is a surprise.
Yeah, surprise game. Okay. So basically, these are some jokes related to painting. You have to not laugh. You laugh, you lose.
Dude, I'm laughing even without jokes. I don't know.
There are 9. There are 9.
Okay.
So let's see. Like maybe you must have heard. I don't know, but yeah, these are some really ones because I actually enjoyed when I.
Okay.
So you know how a painter fights. He challenges his rival to do a doodle.
That is really good.
Very controlled, right?
Oh, I'm
No, but-
also very good at making poker face. Courtesy of society.
Acha. What do you call something painted by a tiger?
What?
A portrait.
Oh.
What did Cobain say when he got too close to painting? Smells like white spirit. Why was the artist convicted of false murder charges? Guess he was framed.
Oh my god.
Did you hear about the artist who took things too far? Guess he didn't know how to draw the line.
It's like they're funny, but
Did you hear about the artist who just died? Guess he had too many strokes. What was the first thing the artist said on calling up his best friend? Yellow. What do you tell a painter who just had a breakup? Brush it off. And then, last.
I did fun. That was really, really funny.
Last one. Do you know what a painter draws before he goes to bed? Curtains. Like,
Wow. I have never heard any painter jokes in my life up until now.
yes.
Thank you.
Courtesy to 3XP by Kunal Raj. Yeah. Whew. I think this was one of the must needed podcast for this channel, I would say. Courtesy, thanks to you. Yeah. Much needed. I wanted, in all that hustle, I got one podcast where I can say it is a chill, calm. Bala. How was the experience?
I really liked it, dude. I had a lot of fun. I usually don't really speak to people this way about art, and I get quite nervous otherwise. But then this was like, it's also good practice for me in terms of communication and in terms of like when you asked the questions and I was on my way here in the bus, when I started to type down answers, was like the spark ignited, and I was like, oh, this is why I do art, and then this is what I actually think of, and this is what I believe, because it's rusted, right? Like you keep practicing and you don't really talk to anyone about it, so even in your head it's like
lying out somewhere.
Yeah, you feel like you don't really have these thoughts. And to be honest, recently I've been feeling quite because I haven't had such interactions, or I haven't been journaling and writing my own thoughts lately. When I was feeling like very shallow, like just very two-dimensional. I was like, what am I? I'm just I just do this and I just do that and blah 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 blah. Very two-dimensional. So it's like when you take the time to conversate with yourself and
You
write
reflect
down,
basically.
yeah, it's very important. So that's what this taught me, and I'm really glad that you gave me the chance.
Yes,
to do
glad. I
that.
think one thing we missed out is tell us about a website.
Is this rolling?
Yeah, it's still rolling.
What?
Check. Yeah.
I thought you were just casually talking earlier.
No.
Okay. My website. You can support my art. This is the only time I'm talking to them. So, okay, you can support my art by following me on social media platforms. I'm quite responsive, mostly responsive on Instagram. I go by Rituja, Rituja Patil art. Rituja Patil art. And I do have a website if you want to buy prints and original works. It's www.ritujapatiLart.com. Please support me. I'm always trying to do better.
Yes.
And if you have commissions, or just, I don't know, if you just want to talk about art,
Feel free to.
reach out to me on Instagram,
Sometimes
and I respond.
responses can be a bit late, but
Sometimes it can take 2 weeks. I'm not gonna lie,
yeah.
but I will respond.
Yeah.
Trust me, I come back.
She comes with.
I come back.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And then you have to wait another 2 weeks.
the conversation,
thank you.
like how she does the painting, the conversation takes a bit of like, you're used to like 2 weeks, 4 weeks of.
Yeah, like time
To
doesn't
complete-
matter, yeah. I mean, you take 1 month to make one painting, have one conversation with one person online in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Eh,
Beautiful work. Carrying on. I think you should keep that spark going on, right? Inspire more people.
Thank you. And thank you for your work, and thank you for inspiring people to do something different and doing something that's out of the ordinary,
And getting
purchasing
some
your-
rust out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was pretty much with this podcast. We had Rituja once again, Kunal this side, and I think this was a wonderful conversation. Just join in for more every week. Until then, यहाँ से काट देते.